Welcome, everybody, to another Greatest Wrestling Promos, taking a look at the greatest wordsmiths from wrestling's past, present, and possibly future. And joining us tonight for the first time, we got to come up with a nickname for Dave. It's Stone Cold Dave Graham from 4 Left 3D. Dave, how you doing?
Good.
Excellent. And Dave, you do the stands for those custom LJN figures that I reviewed some time ago.
Yes.
What are you working on? What do you got coming up?
I finished the entire LJN line about, probably 6 or 8 months ago. And I'm working on the big rubber guys, which
I was just going to ask you if you were going to do those.
Yeah, they actually fit fairly well, so I don't really have to modify the foot holder. I have to change a couple things, like for Andre, because it doesn't have to be as big. And then I need to add Ric Flair, Marty Jannetty. I definitely want to do one for Cardona. I got to try and get one of those into his hands at some point. And then I started on a Hasbro line, but they stand on their own fairly well. So I don't know how well that's going to go. I did Series 1, and we'll see how it goes.
Awesome. Looking forward to seeing those. And is it from Truth or Consequences, New Mexico? Is it from the Boiler Room? It's Stevekind. How you doing?
Good to be here, Dave. I need you to calm down a little bit. The energy you're bringing in right now is just way too much. We can't put up between you and Bob. It's just going to blow the lid off around here.
We got Hacksaw Bob Hansen joining us. Bob, how's it going?
Ho, tough guy. Hey, Double M, what's going on? Good to see you. Steve, Dave, saying stuff, doing things, shooting the breeze, chewing the fat. We're whistling Dixie, waxing philosophical, saying chomping at the bit. Drool dribbling down our chin, frothing out our mouths. Daddy, we never stop rocking. We're talking promos today, baby.
And we're starting with one of your promos, Bob. It's one of the most insane promos I've ever seen. Saw it as a kid long time ago, and I remember them all being nuts. I mean, any Randy Savage, yeah, you can't cage the madness. And Dave's rocking a classic Randy Savage t-shirt right there. Oh, when he's a little saner, when he's just a man. But this promo we're taking a look at is when he was a king. Bob, set this promo up.
All right, this is absolutely tremendous. This had to be after SummerSlam 89 because we have the Macho King ready to roll. You can tell that they took a piece of the cage and just kind of held it up for the people. Well, we'll get into that in a bit. They were promoting No Holds Barred, the movie and the match on a same pay-per-view. For a pay-per-view, you can buy this particular tag match, LOL, and the movie as well. I forget what order you watch them in, but that was the idea. You watch the Zeus Hogan movie and then you watch the match. And one of the, I think on the YouTube link I originally found this version on, is that the best comment said, "This is the only Randy Savage promo you will ever see where he is the most sane person on camera."
All right, man. Let's kick it off.
The Barber, Beefcake, and Hulk Hogan, you all come to our house. I steel cage all the way around. There are no rules in the steel cage. This man, he has no control. And when you get him with rules and regulations, he's like a fish out of water. But in our house, yeah, you pukemaniacs are gonna finally see something that you wish you never saw, but just did. And there's nothing that you can do about it, because you'll die. Hulk Hogan, yeah. And Queen Sensational Sherri, where are you gonna be?
You don't know. You don't know where I'm going to be, Hulk Hogan.
No.
You don't know where I'm going to be.
Hulk Hogan! Anywhere. Hulk Hogan! Machine, yeah! This is my house! Mister, no referee! I am going to destroy you! Oh, you pukemaniacs! Just one day! It happens, yeah. Doesn't it happen? Doesn't it happen?
You don't know where I'm going to be, Hogan.
No!
Your destruction!
No!
No!
Close
Hey,
He
what
is
movie was coming out around that time, do you think?
Suburban Commando. I
Better
agree.
acting by
Randy is the
Zeus than
most
he did in the movie.
Randy is the most sensible, logical guy.
How did he make the most sense?
So right before we kicked it off, we were talking about what do we call this, and I thought no holds barred. But Bob, you said you don't know, and I think you don't know might work too.
I think you don't know means a lot of different things when you watch this promo. You just don't know.
Zeus there, Tiny Lister, man. He when Randy hits him on the shoulder and he just
He explodes.
he's like a muscled up Abdullah the Butcher in that moment. Like that's the kind of stuff Abdullah would do.
I think it might have been the only time in Savage's life where in his mind he went, whoops.
Yeah.
This guy's a little too intense. Yeah. It's almost like there's two things that strike me in it. Well, there's a lot of things that strike me, and
this is so insane. I've seen so many insane wrestling promos, and like they work in the world of wrestling. Like you guys are all longtime wrestling fans, right? And you know that something in the wrestling world does not work in outside the wrestling world for non-wrestling fans. They just don't get it at all. I don't know if this works in the wrestling world. It's a bit too crazy even for the wrestling world.
Well, you don't know, Michael Mercy.
I don't know. Apparently, I don't know.
It's almost like right before they were started recording, someone said, "Okay, all three of you cut a completely different promo at the same time." And they did, and it kind of came together.
I just think there's takes of this that they didn't use also. Those had to be completely.
That's a great point. This is the best take.
This is the one they went with.
This is the best one.
Look, what I love is Sherri goes up the thing.
Yep.
She obviously scooted over a little bit and came back down, and then she ducks behind them to walk across like she's trying to be so she can pop up in front.
Yes. So I'm guessing clearly because of the way it shakes, I'm assuming that they have a couple of wrestlers, at least one on each side, some strong guys holding that chunk of blue cage as steadily as they possibly can. It's not set anywhere. So let's say there's one or two guys on each side. Even still, of course, Zeus and Savage and Sherri are going to be moving this thing. But my only logical guess is the studio can't be that big. Sherri climbed to the top of that thing and figured the ceiling's too low. Yeah. I'm not getting through. Let me do this and duck out of the way. You know how when some people are more polite than others? You're in Canada, Michael. You understand.
She probably thought that she couldn't be seen. She probably didn't realize it was that far back.
Like when you get up in the middle of a movie to go to the bathroom because it's 3 hours long, and maybe I can urinate during the Black Widow's training sequence. And you go to do that, and you kind of duck down, but it really doesn't make a difference. Everyone can see you, and it really doesn't mean anything.
Well, Dave said it. This was the best take. Like what happened? And the camera had the camera not panned back, had it not tried to go to a little more of a wide shot, she might have been able to sneak under. But as it was, no, there was in it. To me, that as I was watching, I'm like, that is the funniest thing I've seen in this thing. Zeus screaming the moment Macho touches him, and it's almost as though his hand is a hot frying pan, and and then Sherri just ducking down the back
like Zeus was in a trance. Well, it's a good point, Dave. You mentioned the multiple takes because when I actually had trouble finding this specific one on a YouTube search. I remember it took me a while.
Yeah, you can't find these anywhere. They're not. I don't think they're on the network.
Well, it's kind of hard to type in the description of that.
Yes, that's the thing too. But also, I never really found like 5 or 6 of these.
That's right. They did a lot of them.
The blue bars, and maybe those were the outtakes or the ones they didn't use, or just maybe they had. This was the days where they had to do one for every market.
Well, they were leading up to it. It looked to me like they were leading up to it, like they did one weekly until the event.
Okay, that makes sense.
You don't know?
There's a bunch. This is the you don't know exactly, but this is the only one where Sherri does the climb up and the duck down later, and I think that's most likely why they went. Because sometimes even in wrestling, it's like it's just as seriously as they were trying. And this is really, I started full time watching wrestling in May of '89, so really this was my beginning. The Macho Man into the King with Sherri and Zeus, and this chaos was very, very early in my wrestling fandom when the Macho King took I thought the crown was a regular title that he took out from old Hacksaw there.
It was, because Hacksaw won it from Haku, and Haku won it in a tournament when Harley vacated it. So it was treated like basically their TV title.
Exactly. It wasn't, I thought it was the real deal, but the only thing that is the real deal with less sugar and less calories is Pepsi Zero.
There we go.
There it is.
PepsiCola.com. Enter the promo code Bob Squad.
What happens?
Zero. Absolutely nothing. It's a complete waste of your time. Yeah. But nevertheless,
the beverage is zero. The promo code is another big fat zero. Nothing happens.
The promo code is you don't know. What happens when you enter it? You don't know what happens when you enter the promo code.
Zeus. So we've seen guys come into the wrestling world from outside of it. Actors. I remember Hugh Jackman, Jon Stewart, a bunch of celebrities.
Sure.
And sometimes they do pretty well at imitating a wrestler, and sometimes it's bad because they just don't understand the rules for acting to the camera are different in wrestling than live theater, movies, stuff like that. It's not an easy transition. It's basically like from going from the theater to movies, right? It's not the same thing. So Zeus, when he starts screaming here, I'm sure he's thinking like they told him, amp it up. You got to imagine Savage told him like, amp it up. Yeah. Intense. He's too intense. Like he's kind of terrifying in the bad way, not in the Psycho Sid or it's like, oh my Lord. Like, is he okay?
Well, look, I'll confess, I've watched No Holds Barred maybe once in my lifetime, and that's been when it came out on DVD. I didn't get to see it as a kid, and when they released it on DVD, we got it and did something for Geek Out Loud or some such. But was he that way in the movie? Was he the big overamped guy like that? I don't recall. Like I remember him kind of showing up and being kind of bad, like just that silent, strong, bad type. And
I don't know if he had any actual lines in the movie. Like it's been probably, when did it come out, like 88? Because I watched it on VHS tape. I remember renting it when I was a kid. Probably watched it once, like you said, one time. I don't know if he had any lines. I mean, he looks like a wrestler, but that's it.
Right.
I don't remember either. I just imagine him was doing that like chest banging and
I watched it a couple of years ago on Hulu.com with limited commercial interruption. Hulu, it's TV in the palm of your hands. And he has is that
one of those online streaming services?
It is. As a matter of fact, it's all your favorite television shows and movies, plus original programming such as A Thing About Kennedy with James Franco and some other stuff where Elizabeth Moss is angry. I don't know what it is.
Oh, what a service.
Yeah, it really is tremendous. And it's only $7.99 a month.
Fantastic.
But I watched the film, arguably the greatest film ever made, and I watched it a couple of somewhat recently. It's Inside Joke Night today at Greatest Wrestling Promos. And he does have lines.
Here, I'll imagine a cigarette.
He does have lines, but it's more like, he'll whisper his name.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't do a lot of the yelling and stuff like this. And
he was like
Clubber Lang,
Drago and Rocky.
And then Stan Hansen looks at everyone's genitals in a urinal. Not part 2. That's not in this.
Well, it's really crazy. Like I mean, like that's all he does the whole time. He yells and he says Hogan's name at some point, and then he just keeps yelling. And the thing is about this type of thing, Tiny Lister is an actor as well, and as long as he was directed well, I would think he'd be okay in the promo situation. So someone informed him, go nuts. Like, you're right. Someone said, go nuts. And dude just went nuts, you know?
And made
It'd be hard
Randy
to keep up.
Savage concerned.
It'd
Yeah.
be hard to keep up with Macho and Sherri Martel, though.
Well, sure. Well,
Not
when you've
their-
got
with their level.
you've got Sherri climbing the cage over here, and you're like, well, all right, I guess I'm just gonna have to match what they're doing.
The other thing too, back in those days, like Sherri and Savage, they don't have words scripted. They
No.
can have a direction in those days. There's no scripted promo. So Randy's gonna go off in a tangent and tell the kids what they're gonna see and not see, and you don't think you saw what you think you saw or whatever. And Sherri's gonna be Sherri, and Sherri knows how to work with Randy, and that all works. And then you just put Sherri is the cream and the crazy Oreo right here.
This is
But
a
she
rare.
kind of steals it in a way, and she there's these two muscular dudes, especially Tiny Lister is enormous, and in a way she steals it because she kind of, in a way, I think she kind of out crazies them. Am I crazy?
Well, yeah, no, of course she does. Yeah, but listen, you don't know. You don't know where I'll be, and it's like, it doesn't matter. You're a tiny little woman. There's nothing you can do to Hulk Hogan, but you don't know. Yeah. Listen, Macho was doing the lion's share though of informing what's going down, what's happening, being threatening, still being a little, riding the lightning bolt, still being a little crazy. But yeah, I guess you have to wonder if he got in that situation and said, "Well, I guess it's up to me," that kind of thing.
The workhorse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was the story of his life.
Mhm.
Like, even late in his WWF career, he was always talking about how, well, they benched me. Yeah, they benched me. They said I'm too old for the ring and I should be a commentator. But who do they call when someone gets hurt, when someone is sick? They always call the Macho Man. So he's conducting this interview as well. This is a very rare case of an outsider coming in, being put with two greats, and being told, look, just do what they do. Hopefully what they do rubs off on you. And like he out crazies them, they're a bad influence on him. And it's a rare case of he ends up being worse than the bad influences.
And I think this is one of the things, because this was 89 is when that movie came out. 89. I'm a 12-year-old kid at that point.
If they shot it in 88, that's why Macho had the belt in 88.
Yeah, still digging wrestling, still into what's going on, everything, keeping up with it. But this is one of those moments in time where, when Zeus showed up in the WWF, that I was like, I'm out of this. This is not my bag. They brought in the character from this movie, which I had not seen, and it wasn't about the movie being good or bad. It was about, this is a character from a movie. This isn't the actor Mr. T. Mr. T didn't come to WrestleMania as B.A. Baracus or as Clubber Lang. And so now this guy has shown up that's supposed to be the character he was playing, and it just, I don't know, that
much.
It's one of the first things that, as a preteen, going into a teenager, kind of shifted the way that I would choose to watch wrestling moving forward.
It didn't make any sense, because he's Zeus from the movie, so Zeus is real, but Hogan was Rip,
right?
But he's not Rip. Rip is fictional, but Zeus is real. In the absurd world of wrestling, it's just, it's asking just a little too much. They're already asking so much,
right?
And then that just extra, like, this real character is coming after Hogan. And the crazy thing is, I think Bruce Pritchard talked about it on one of his podcasts years ago, that one of the plans for WrestleMania 6 was Hogan versus Zeus. They were going to try to drag this out all the way to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And then they changed course and said, no, let's go with Warrior, because he's a little more level-headed.
Well, I think they looked at him
speaking.
Yeah, I think he would carry the match better. Tiny, listen, when you I think
Tiny's awesome. Don't get me wrong. He's fantastic. I love him.
I mean, I think if you watch him in The Dark Knight,
Yeah.
his role as a prisoner on that boat. Like there's almost a Michael Clark Duncan-esqueness to him as far as his ability, his range. You see that he's real quiet there. He's intimidating and threatening, but he's not over the top, wild and crazy. And I think he's got the chops to do something like this. This is obviously early on in his career, but I just think from a wrestling standpoint, I don't know that he could have gone all the way.
You don't know?
Yeah, I don't know. You're right.
You don't know.
Well,
No,
also the thing about Dark Knight, though, in my own headcanon, the guy in Dark Knight who throws the bomb into the water and makes the big heroic move at the end, that character is the same character as Zeus.
Okay, all right,
He's
yeah.
gone to
Really?
prison for something crazy in 1989.
Okay, yeah. So
And
he's not
now-
Devo. He's not Devo from Friday. He's Zeus from
No, that was just a movie, Friday.
So
but
what you're
Dark Knight, yeah.
So what you're saying, Bob, is that Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy is actually part of the No Holds Barred cinematic universe?
Yes, it's the trilogy is No Holds Barred, Batman Begins, and Dark Knight. That's the trilogy.
And then since Zeus is in the WWF at this point, then the entire WWF, and WWE is part of the No Holds Barred cinematic universe as well.
That's
I
right.
don't see why not.
Wow.
Yeah. The No Holds Bardiverse.
Do you think Zeus should be included as a celebrity Hall of Fame inductee?
I think he should be. I think he
Somebody
should
else
be.
is.
I think he should be, and I think he should be because of the movie and his time
Yeah.
in
Or
I
Cyndi Lauper, because Zeus will get it before Cyndi Lauper.
yes, yeah.
The guy wasn't a wrestler, and it's just kind of it's an insane idea to get a guy who played a wrestler to come in and you're going to work matches. You can't. It's insulting to the real wrestlers, the real workers, to just have this guy waltz in. Celebrities do it occasionally, Lawrence Taylor, stuff like that, one-offs. Okay, they come in, they do their one match, they get their big payday. Hopefully it helps the brand and helps the boys make more money. But this was just, it was a bad call. Like, bring this guy, and he worked more than one match. It wasn't a one-off, right? And he made a bunch of appearances. He wasn't just like a one and done. So great actor, but not a wrestler. And you can't, just because you're big and intimidating and muscular, it doesn't mean you can come in and work.
Yeah, but I also think at this time, like you wanted to do the cross promotion for the movie, but also, the heel factory at this point was kind of drying up for Hogan, and what you gonna do?
I don't know.
All of a sudden you got this big dude, and Hulkamania's got to run wild on something.
Yeah.
So
it's just feed him another monster, just
Yeah.
churning out monsters from the monster factory. Okay, that was insane, Bob. That was a fantastic suggestion.
It's all my fault. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Let's do some plugs. Bob, you got some shows coming up?
Yes, I do. Lego My San Diego, if you are in the San Diego, as I am all the time. Thursday, April 11th, I'm at Mic Drop Comedy Club. Find me on Instagram. There's a link to the tickets and that. That's Thursday, April 11th. I'll be headlining the Gold Room. And if you're in Provo, Utah, March 15th, Bob's filming his first dry bar comedy special for their streaming service. So do those things. Follow me on Instagram and enjoy delicious Pepsi Zero with none of the sugar or the calories of regular Pepsi for the same delicious taste.
And Steve, what's going on with Geek Out Loud?
Geek Out Loud is just rolling along, man. We're delving into some of this news about the old MCU that's been popping up, but it's nothing compared to the No Hold Bardiverse. So check us out over at Geek Out Loud, wherever you get podcast. Check it out, and the Big Honkin' Show as well, if you want to. So appreciate you guys being around, hanging out.
That's geekoutpodcast.com. And Dave, 4 Left 3D, they're available on
Etsy, available directly from me as well. You can follow 4 Left 3D on Instagram. Look up 4 Left 3D on Etsy. If you could contact me directly, I can get you a little better deal. I have done a custom rip and Zeus stand for different people. So anything LJN, I've got a stand for all the LJNs. And if there's a custom idea that you want, no matter how crazy, I'll give it a shot.
How about a reasonable, level-headed Macho King?
Oh, I got a Macho King stand, but I can't say that it's reasonable or level-headed.
Oh, cool. Hey, Odie, how's it going?
Yeah.
What did Odie think of that promo?
he hates this because the lights, but that's he's covered by the heading, but he's actually been here the entire time, just right behind my name, just not wanting the attention to go away from him. So I had to cave.
And myself, you can find me obviously on Armchair Directors, youtube.com/Armchair Directors, chatting movies with Matt. Thanks everyone for watching, hitting like, hitting subscribe. We will be back again very soon for another greatest wrestling promo. Dig it? Yeah.